the bride of the silent shrine. In the village of Iluera, where the red earth stained the feet and the wind carried whispers from the sacred grove, there stood a shrine older than memory. It belonged to Aram, the flame bearer, the god of justice and hidden truth. From the time she could walk, little Amarchi followed her father along the narrow forest path to that shrine. Her father, Chief Nana, was the keeper of the sacred fire. The villagers feared him and respected him in equal measure, for he spoke with the gods and interpreted their will. But to Amarchi, he was simply Papa, the man with strong shoulders and gentle hands. Each dawn, she balanced small calabashes of yam porridge and palm wine on her tiny head, struggling under their weight but refusing to complain. Strength is not in muscle, her father would say. It is in obedience to destiny. She did not understand his words then. She only knew that she loved the silence of the shrine, the way the air felt heavier there, alive, watching. Sometimes, when her father chanted, the fire in the sacred pot would rise without wind, and she would feel something brush her skin like unseen fingers. The death of the flame keeper. When Amarchi turned 16, sickness took Chief Nana. He did not fear death. On his last night, he held her hand and whispered, "The gods do not make mistakes." Those were his final words. After his burial, the elders gathered beneath the ancient Iroko tree. The shrine could not remain without a head. But the oracle had already spoken. "The chosen one walks with the fire in her shadow," the diviner announced. Everyone knew who that was, Amarchi. The girl who had carried offerings since childhood. The girl whose eyes glowed strangely during rituals. The girl the wind seemed to follow. But murmurs rose like angry bees. A woman? Impossible. The gods have never chosen a woman. It is against tradition. Among them was Elder Okoi, old and proud, whose voice carried weight in the council. "This is confusion," he declared. "The shrine requires a man. We shall appoint one," and so they did. They installed Elder Okoi as the new head priest. The drums beat, the rituals were performed. But the fire in the shrine refused to rise. The sacred pot cracked overnight. Palm wine turned sour within hours. Strange illnesses began to visit the homes of the elders who had rejected the oracle. Still, they refused to see the mark of the gods. It began quietly, and Amarchi started dreaming. In her dreams, a figure made of flame stood before her. "You were given before you were born," the voice would say. One night, she woke to find white ash traced in symbols across her doorway, symbols only a chief priest could draw. No human hand had entered. The next market day, as she walked past the shrine, the sacred bell rang by itself. The villagers fell silent. Then something happened that no one could deny. During the new Yam festival, Elder Okoi attempted to light the ceremonial fire dot. It would not burn. But when Amarchi stepped forward, trembling, confused, the fire leapt high the moment her shadow touched the altar. A gasp rippled through the crowd. The gods had answered. The spiritual marriage. That night, the diviner fell into a trance. "The girl is not merely chosen," he said. "She is wed, a spiritual wife to Aram." From that moment, Amarchi belonged not to any man, but to the shrine itself. The truth revealed itself in tragedy. A young hunter named Obina, brave and deeply in love with her, asked for her hand in marriage. She resisted, but the elders encouraged it, hoping to prove the prophecy false. They wed. 3 days later, Obina was found lifeless in his sleep. No wound, no illness. Just stillness. Fear spread like wildfire. Another man, stubborn and arrogant, declared the death coincidence. He too married her. Within a week, he fell from a palm tree under a cloudless sky. No one tried again. It became clear. Amarchi was spiritually bound. The gods were jealous, the head of the shrine. At last, the elders bowed. Elder Okoi himself knelt before her. "We were blind," he said, voice shaking. "Forgive us." Amarchi did not feel triumph. She felt loneliness. To lead meant to sacrifice. To be chosen meant to be separated. She moved into the shrine permanently. The sacred fire answered only her voice now. Crops flourished again, illness ceased. Peace returned to Iluera, but she walked alone. She wore white robes and coral beads, not as ornaments, but as chains of destiny. Some nights, she would stand before the altar and whisper, "Why me?" And the flame would rise gently, not in anger, but in companionship. For though she had lost the chance at a mortal husband, she had gained something older than love, purpose. And in the silence of the shrine, she understood her father's final words. The gods do not make mistakes.